Hi, thanks for joining me for this week's quick business tip. I'm Jennifer Swineford with Limitless Impact Agency. What if I told you that most businesses are hosting a $50,000 funeral every year and they don't even know that there's a dead body? Now, this might sound a little dramatic, but I want to tell you a story from a few years ago that felt exactly like this. I was so excited. I had just finished some amazing training from a coach that I really admired, and I had this shiny new, incredibly hyped launch strategy for my core offer. And the possibilities felt endless. So I got to work. I poured myself into it. I'm talking about more than a month of my life. Late nights, mapping out email sequences, early mornings, scripting social media posts. Hours were poured into creating the perfect launch. I went all in. When launch week finally rolled around and I executed the plan flawlessly, my energy was through the roof, engagement was there. I was so excited. But when the dust settled, the numbers really looked okay. I had three new amazing clients. They were all high ticket. I had five other very warm leads that had come from seemingly out of the blue. So if I just looked at the bottom line, my business grew that quarter, and you could call it a win. The reality was that when I took a deep breath and looked back at every client and every lead that came in, not a single one had gone through the launch. The real harsh reality was there wasn't a single one who even knew there was a launch. Zero. They came from referrals. They came from my existing network. They came from people who've been following me for a year or more. That entire elaborate, quite honestly, exhausting launch that I had just poured 90 days of my life into, it was DOA. I was having a funeral for a marketing plan that never really even existed, never came to life, never turned into anything. It's like planting a bunch of bulbs that never came up the next year. But if I hadn't looked at the numbers, I wouldn't have known it. When I really looked into the cost of my own time and energy and the money spent on this launch, it was an incredibly expensive lesson. It was very frustrating, but it was one of the best lessons I could have learned in my business because it taught me that me, just like so many other businesses, are just setting fire to their time, their money, their hope on marketing plans that feel really productive, that sound like they should be really successful, but they don't produce anything. We keep having these parties for what feel like a win, but if we really dig into the numbers, the win just isn't there, at least not for that marketing campaign. So today we're going to change all that. We're going to look into your marketing and find out what's really working, what's secretly not working, and how to revive your results. First, we're going to uncover the marketing lie that keeps so many businesses gambling with their money. And we're going to diagnose the three hidden leaks that are draining your marketing budget. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you a powerful framework that's going to take your marketing and transform it from a terrifying expense into your business's most valuable asset. First, we're going to have a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation. When did so many businesses just accept that marketing is supposed to be a gamble? Because think about it. What other area of your business are you okay with just throwing money at something, crossing your fingers, and hoping for the best? Nobody does it with their operations. Nobody does it when they start hiring a team or our product or service development. When it comes to marketing, it seems like everybody just accepts this sort of gut-wrenching cycle of hope and disappointment. This is when you think of marketing as an expense. You know the feeling. You kind of get a knot in your stomach because you've approved this marketing spend. You throw the money at it, you hold your breath, you pray it works, you cross your fingers, but in the end, you're really just paying tuition for a bunch of expensive, painful business lessons. Now, what if I told you there was another way? If you could shift marketing from being an expense to an asset. Because when you think of marketing as an asset, everything is different. You become calm, confident. You stop seeing marketing as a cost that needs to be minimized, but instead as the fuel that is going to grow your business. So you stop asking, how much is this going to cost me? And instead start asking, how much is this going to make my business? For years, I was stuck in the expense mindset, and I see a lot of clients that are in the same spot. My launch story is the perfect example. Now, I was following coach's instructions, a set framework, something that had been successful for other businesses, but I was also doing some guessing, some gut feeling, and making a lot of assumptions. The moment that everything changed was when I stopped guessing, stopped looking at things from an emotional, feels like standpoint, and instead started digging into the real numbers. I started tracking lead metrics instead of lag metrics. Now, we don't do marketing jargon on this show, but this is a simple and critical definition. A lag metric are the results that you look at the end of the month. The revenue, new clients that are in. It's like looking at the final score of a football game. It tells you whether or not you won or lost, but it's too late to do anything about it. My 3 new clients from what was a failed launch, that's a lag metric. Lead metrics are the actions that prospective clients takes that are leading up to the final score. So this is like the number of discovery calls that get booked in a month, the number of proposals that are sent, the number of qualified applications you receive. These are like every time, it's like when you're standing on the sidelines as a coach and your team gets into the red zone. How many times are they in the red zone? How many times are they intercepting a ball? You check it during the game, make adjustments based on what's happening so that you can change the result before you get to the end of the game. Lead metrics are numbers that you can track in real time, or at least look at once a week, and start to change how your month is going to look when you get to the end. Now, when I started tracking lead metrics, data became impossible to ignore. I could see in black and white what marketing activities were moving the needle and which ones were just a time and expense suck. There was no more guesswork. There was no more, well, I think maybe. Like, I knew in black and white what was happening. And once the guesswork disappeared, so did the anxiety. Imagine 2 business owners. Business owner A spends $5,000 on marketing and hopes for the best. Business owner B spends $5,000 on marketing and knows that it's going to result in at least 20 qualified leads because they have data to prove it from the last 3 months. The difference isn't how much time they spend. The difference isn't what kind of email sequence they have together. The difference is how they're looking at it. One is hoping. One is looking at data and knowing what's going to happen. So that feeling that you're just holding your breath every time you spend money or time on marketing, it doesn't have to be a normal part of your business. It's a symptom that's telling you that you're flying blind. So if feeling isn't a tool, if your gut is not a tool, then let's look at the 3 different killers that might be causing leaks in your marketing budget. every marketing failure I've ever seen, whether it's in my business or my client's business, it falls into one of these three categories. And we're going to look at them as marketing killers. The first one is the leak. So this is when your marketing is maybe getting some attention, but it's losing the prospect somewhere along the line. So somewhere between seeing that first whatever, postcard, social media post, email, and getting to the final sale, they're jumping ship. This is like trying to fill a bucket that has holes all in the bottom of it. You're pouring in your time, your money, your energy, but it's all just draining out the bottom before the bucket can ever get full. And the emotional impact on a business owner is immense. It can be so frustrating. You are seeing that there are signs of life. You're getting the impressions, the clicks, maybe even the calls. You're getting website traffic, likes, comments, but nothing's changing in your revenue. It feels like you're just running on a treadmill or running on a hamster wheel, and you don't know what you're doing wrong. So these leaks happen in one of two, sometimes both, very common areas. The first, you're getting attention, but you fail to give that prospective client a clear next step. So you're posting valuable content, you're sharing great insights, and then you just hope that they're going to take the next step, that they're going to click on the link in the bio, that they're going to go to the website, that you're going to call your phone number. But hope isn't a really great strategy. You need to give your viewers a clear and simple call to action. Otherwise, you're just putting on a free show. So by telling them to call today, here's the number, click on the link, take the test, sign up for the newsletter, take the next step. It doesn't have to be buy now. It's just the next step. What's the next little step that's going to get them where they want to go? Because when you don't give them any direction at all, they don't go anywhere. Then they're going to come across your competitor's next postcard, social media post, email campaign, who's going to tell them what to do next, and they're going to follow those rules. People like to be told what to do. Now, the second area that can cause a leak in your bucket is that you start proposing marriage on the first date or long before. So think about it. Somebody brand new sees your ad, your social media post, your postcard for the very first time. They don't know you. They don't trust you yet. But the only thing that you're telling them to do is to buy your high ticket course, spend a bunch of money, call you for a $125,000 kitchen upgrade. This is like a marriage proposal. Like walk up to somebody in a bar, down on one knee, let's get married. I don't know your name. I don't even know if you're single. Let's get married, you and me, right now. It's going to freak anybody out, just like it freaks out your prospect. They're overwhelmed and they leave just as fast as they can. So you had their attention, but you scared them off by asking for a massive commitment instead of just asking what their name was. Can I get your phone number? Can I see you again? Now, there is one more version of the leak that is very painful because you get so close to success. It's when a prospect does take that next step. So they saw something on social media, they download your lead magnet, they book a call with you, but then nothing because you've collected their contact information, but you didn't do anything with it. And you gave them the free lead magnet. You went ahead and you took the discovery call with them, but then you didn't do any follow-up. It's almost like going on a first date and then just really hoping that the other person calls you again. You never reach out, you never text, you never do anything. So what happens in business is the lead just sits in that spreadsheet, sits in that database, sits in your CRM. And when there's no follow-up, automated is usually the best version of a follow-up for this, an email nurture sequence, something along those lines, then that lead who was warm, who was interested, who raised their hand and said, I have this problem that you can solve, the lead just grows stale. They forget you. Honestly, you forget them. And that person's going to find somebody else. somebody else who's ready to invest the time and the energy, and they're going to give that other person their business. So when you see high traffic but low conversions, lots of likes and impressions, but no sales, or you're growing that email list, but nobody's buying anything, that's an indication that you have a leak in your bucket. And the real cost isn't just the money that you're spending on marketing, it's the massive opportunity that you're losing every single day. Now, killer number 2 is a plateau. Imagine if things are going great. Your bucket's full of water, but then suddenly the water level starts dropping. That's a lot like what the plateau is. It's this slow realization that the water's no longer going up, it's going down. And that can be incredibly frustrating. This is when a marketing strategy was working for some time, and then it just stops. So you're putting in the same amount of effort, same amount of money, maybe even more, and the returns are dropping instead of increasing. It's confusing and it's exhausting. And the most common place that we see this is with ads. Remember a few years ago, maybe several years ago, when Meta changed everything with their ads? Facebook ads were going great, they were really inexpensive, and then privacy things happened and all those leads dried up. This was especially painful for businesses whose main source of leads and marketing, they just thrown all those eggs into that Facebook ad basket. Now more than ever, but especially like anytime, anything, marketing is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. Your clicks are going to get more expensive, your engagement is going to drop, and the leads are going to completely dry up, especially if you are not paying attention. This is what a plateau looks like. Because marketing isn't a crock pot. It's a living, breathing animal that needs to be monitored and optimized and tweaked and checked on. And you can't just assume that something that was working 3 months ago is going to work 6 months from now. But the most dangerous cause of the plateau is more strategic. This is when you're putting all your marketing eggs into one basket, like people did with the Facebook ads. Maybe you're killing it on your organic content on Instagram, so you're spending all your time and energy on Instagram. Or you're getting your leads from this one Google ad campaign, so you just keep throwing more money at that ad campaign. Life is really good right up until it isn't. Because when you build an entire marketing plan on one platform, you're building your business on rented land. And one day, the landlord, whether it's Meta or Google or LinkedIn, TikTok, they're going to change the terms of the lease. The algorithm's going to change overnight, and your ad account might get suspended for no reason at all. And in that moment, you are starting from ground zero because everything you were doing, all your time and your energy and money was going into that one platform. Your leads were all coming from there, and now they're all gone. And you don't even have anywhere else to turn. You don't have another platform that was kind of doing okay. It wasn't great, but it was there. You have nothing. Every single business owner needs to understand this very uncomfortable truth. When it comes to LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, pretty much anywhere out there, you are renting space. You don't own your followers, you don't own your connections, no control over your DMs. You are a tenant on their platform. In the digital marketing world, your business owns only 2 things: your website and your email database. That's why building your email list is so important. It is a non-negotiable for long-term survival, because when you hit a plateau like this and start noticing the water's coming out of your bucket, this can feel like a cliff. This platform that you've been building everything on suddenly changes the rules, and you have to jump off this cliff. Like you have nowhere else to go. Your email list is that insurance policy. Your email list is the parachute that's going to help give you a soft landing when you jump off of that cliff. Because it's the asset that you own that ensures you're not just going to go splat when you hit the bottom. Now, the third killer is the phantom. This is something that a lot of people miss because it's more hidden than the other two. It's when you're doing marketing that is really difficult, nearly impossible to measure when it comes to direct impact on your bottom line. It's really like you're going into a pitch black room and you're trying to shoot arrows at a bullseye. You're just hoping that you hit something. And this can be one of the most confusing marketing tactics out there. You're spending money, you're busy, you're hustling, but you're not really sure if the money and the time and the effort and the energy are really resulting in anything. The number one cause of this phantom killer is simply because businesses are not asking people how they heard about them. Or they ask, they don't write it down. And anything that you are not really tracking, like documenting on paper or digital or something, it's not something that can be optimized. So when you are not tracking it in a formal format, and instead it becomes like, so where do leads come from? Oh, I feel like most people heard about us on Facebook. Now, you're not really sure. You have no idea. You're not pulling that data from anywhere. This is just gut feeling. We can't build your marketing on gut feeling. So at the end of the month, they're left with a whole lot of question marks. But the most dangerous version of the phantom is when we start a new marketing effort and then assume that the new business is coming from the time and money that we put into that marketing effort. It was kind of like when I did my launch. A lot of time, effort, energy went to the launch. I had new clients, new leads. At the other end of the launch, I could have made the assumption that it came from the launch. Or you spend $2,000 on a new ad campaign. At the end of the month, you look, you've got 3 new clients. You're popping champagne, giving your team a high five. Must be the new ads. But did you ever track those clients back to the new ads? What if all 3 of those clients were referrals? What if they came from a past client? What if they were someone that this new hire on your sales team knew personally? You don't know. And so if you're not asking, it becomes really easy to spend another $2,000 on that marketing campaign, assuming that you're going to get 3 new clients out of it the next month. But then you don't, and you don't understand why. So there must be something wrong with the ad campaign. So you either tweak it or adjust it or spend more money on it, and it just becomes this very vicious cycle. Because the ultimate cost of the phantom is that you don't know what works, you don't know what doesn't. So you can't double down on the winners in your marketing, and you can't cut the losers on the other side. You're just stuck in this cycle of guessing and spending, and you're unable to build any kind of predictable momentum. So which of these killers do you think might be creeping up in your business? Is it the leak, where you're losing the prospects somewhere along the way, the plateau, where your results have just gone flat or have started to fall off? Or is it the phantom, where you just don't know where any of your success is coming from? What would change in your business if you could eliminate just one of these leaks? Now, here's where most people get stuck. They try to fix the symptoms. They try to patch the leak, or they try to like change things up with their ad strategy, or they try to start figuring out with some pin the tail on the donkey logic what's happening with the phantom, but they don't address the underlying system. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. So we've diagnosed the 3 areas that cause the most problem for marketing a business. And now it's time to talk about the cure. We want to take your marketing from this endless expense into one of the most valuable assets for your business using 3 shifts. One, super simple, and it's a direct cure for the phantom. We're going to start understand the difference between vanity metrics and value metrics. So vanity metrics are the numbers that look good, but they don't pay your mortgage. They are things like likes on social media, views on videos, a spike in website traffic. They're like that candy. They give you a super quick sugar rush, but they don't really provide any real energy for your business. Now, value metrics are the numbers that track the actions that lead directly to a sale. They're like protein for your body. They might be the number of lead magnets that someone has downloaded, the number of discovery calls booked in a month, or the number of qualified leads that are coming in. So changing how you're tracking and asking how many people, instead of asking how many people saw this, instead ask how many people took action. So here's a real world example. I have a client who's super active on Instagram. They were getting likes and comments, but nobody was really tracking anything, and it was all just kind of a guess. So we had no idea if business was coming from Instagram. Then we added a calendar booking link on their Instagram profile. That booking link didn't exist anywhere else on the internet. Nobody sent it out in an email. It wasn't on their website. It didn't exist on any other platform. It was only on their Instagram account. This allowed us to track this with 100% certainty. In less than 30 days, 7 people not only clicked on the link, but scheduled a discovery call. Now, here's the most important part. Back when I was running this campaign for them, up until this day, I can't tell you, they can't tell you how many likes or impressions their account got that month. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. What mattered was that they got 7 discovery calls in less than 30 days. And we knew that without a shadow of a doubt, these came from their efforts on Instagram. So this is what happens when you transform this type of membership. You replace confusion with confidence. You replace guesswork with certainty. And for every marketing channel you use, you need to identify one value metric that matters and track it consistently. Now let's talk about the second thing that you can do to improve your marketing measurements. This is the message transformation that can really solve a lot of the problems that come from the leak. So the leak happens when you have been able to grab your prospect's attention, but you fail to connect them to a sale. And that usually happens because you're not connecting with them on an emotional level, or you scare them off by proposing on the first date. And by going through a message transformation, you can have an incredible shift. You stop talking about the features and instead start addressing the benefits. For years, businesses have been taught to market features. We have 40 years of experience. We have a 5-step process. We lead with our credentials. We have all these awards and certifications. We try to impress the customer into buying. The truth is, customers don't buy your experience. They buy the confidence that they get from you having experience. They don't buy your 5-step process. They buy clarity and peace of mind that that process provides. No matter what anyone tells you, everybody makes buying decisions based on emotion. Then they use logic to justify the decision they've already made. So what you need to do is connect with their emotion first. Here's a decent before and after example from the home improvement industry. Their before message, which sounds like 99% of home improvement industry websites, With 40 years of experience, we're able to provide you with industry-leading products, exceptional customer care, and quality home improvement services. And there's nothing completely and totally wrong with it. It's professional, logical. It's also completely invisible. And it will be ignored by everybody who reads it because it doesn't connect on an emotional level. And it's super vague and sounds like what every other business out there says. Now, what if instead it said, a remodel shouldn't be a source of stress? Your home is your biggest investment, and the thought of putting it in the wrong hands is terrifying. You deserve a partner who understands that peace of mind is just as important as a beautiful result. You see the difference? The first one is talking at you. The second one is talking to you. It enters a conversation that's already happening in the buyer's head. It names feelings like stress, validates your fear, and promises what you really want at the end, which is peace of mind. This is when you build that pain to solution bridge. Your marketing message has to first identify what the customer's true pain is, their emotional, internal struggle that they are facing. Then it has to position your service as the clear solution that is going to be the bridge to get them out of that pain to where they want to be. That feeling of relief, confidence, or peace that they're looking for. And when you get this right, something amazing happens. Marketing stops feeling like you're shouting into the void, trying to get everyone to pay attention. And it starts to feel like you're just having a normal conversation with the right people. You're simply saying, I see you, I understand, and I want to help. And when a prospect feels that they're understood, then their immediate knee-jerk rejection, I don't want to be sold to, gets replaced instead by connection and trust. That's how you fix that leak, all those holes that are in the bottom of your bucket. Now, our fourth pillar is going to help with the plateau. In the plateau, we get stuck on a content treadmill. We're relying on one-off efforts for a temporary spike in results. We're constantly seeing that launch, crash cycle, and it only leads to burnout. Here, we want to help you get off of the treadmill, never get back on it, go away from running one-time marketing campaigns, and instead start building engines that are part of an entire system. I had a business coach who decided to launch her new group program with a live webinar. Now, what she had been doing was doing this one-time kind of campaign model where she spent a month in frantic energy trying to turn this webinar into a huge success. She would then see a huge spike in sales, but as soon as that launch week was over, the momentum came to complete stop. So the brilliant videos that she just put together were now dead files on her computer. And in order for her to get another spike in sales, she felt like she had to start all over from scratch. We came in and we started putting together a systematic engine that just looks a little bit different. And instead of looking at that launch week as a one-time event, we looked at it as an asset. So we took the video that she'd already done and started to build a simple automated system around it, running low-cost, consistent ads to a landing page where people can watch the replay. They can sign up for a lead magnet. They can fall into a pre-written email sequence where we continue to build trust, not just send them emails that are buy now, buy now, buy now. And we help them step into the discovery call when they're ready for it. By automating all of this, having it run all year long, we were able to take this frantic energy that was like all this energy and time and effort and money that she spent to do 1 week launch and then sales, yay, and then crash, both energetically, crash financially. It was just awful, and turned it into a 24/7 automated marketing engine. Now, this goes back to is not a set it and forget it. This is something that we continue to look at regularly. We see what's happening. We see what needs tweaked and changed and optimized. But she's no longer starting at zero every 3 to 6 months. She's instead building something that is just going to compound over time. When you put these three together, something magical happens. Because when you start tracking data to find out where your customers are coming from, it's like the floodlights get turned on. When you create a message that builds a bridge from where your ideal client is now to where they want to be on an emotional level, you stop losing them halfway through the customer journey. And by creating a system that can run automatically on its own, that's like creating this highway that brings those clients right to your door predictably and profitably. So imagine having all these systems in place. So instead of wondering whether your marketing is going to work, you start thinking about how much all of this can increase your profits. Instead of hoping for results, you start planning for the growth that you know is going to happen. That's the difference when you stop thinking about marketing as an expense and start thinking about it as an asset. Marketing becomes not a gamble, but a system that you can rely on. Now, knowing the framework is just the first step. The real transformation happens during implementation. I want to be very clear. You do not need to overhaul your entire marketing department overnight, because the real transformation can begin with just a really easy diagnosis. This is where we just follow the money. Open up a spreadsheet. In the first column, list every single marketing effort that you are spending time or money on in the past 3 months. Be honest. Talking social media, ads, email marketing, networking events, everything. Now in the next column, figure out the cost. If it's just money, if somebody else is managing your social media, you know exactly what that's costing you. But if it's money and time, you need to estimate the value of your time, and you need to be honest about that. Now for the third column, I want you to write down the revenue only if you're able to trace every new client in the last 90 days directly back to the source that they came from. This is where you just have to be honest with yourself. Remember my launch story? None of the revenue that came in those 90 days came directly from the effort of my launch. Not a single one. This spreadsheet becomes your very own judgment-free zone. This is not about beating yourself up for past decisions. This is about getting a clear and honest baseline, because a lot of people I find are not tracking this because they kind of know that it's going to feel like bad news when they get to the end. But you can't just stick your head in the sand. In this case, data can be your guide and can help you make improvements going forward. So why would you wait to find out that you're spending money on something that just isn't working? Once you have this completely filled out, and it might take you a day or two, I want you to then look at your ideal customer journey. From the first time they hear about you to the moment that they give you their credit card. Keep it super simple. Do they hear about you in social media? Then do they sign up for a lead magnet? Is there an email sequence involved? Do they need to get on a discovery call before they make a sale? Just write down these steps. Really shouldn't be more than 7 or 8. I don't want you to write down every step in the email sequence. Just say they start getting emails, right? Then look and see where it is that people are falling off most frequently. Because if you're getting a whole bunch of people signing up for your lead magnets, but very few people making a discovery call, they're falling off somewhere in between. So figure out where that is. If you have a lot of discovery calls, but not very many closed sales, then there's something happening between the discovery call and the sale that is making them jump ship. You just need to find out where the leak is, because once you have these 2 pieces of data, you can give each asset a score. So the score that they're going to get is measurability, profitability, and scalability. First, how easy is it to track the direct revenue from every platform or every marketing effort? How profitable is each marketing effort being, or how much is it costing you? And if you were to put more time and money into each of these marketing efforts, would you be able to scale them? So networking is one that a lot of people feel like I get a lot of business from networking. That is cool. It's also very time consuming. So it's easy to track or measure. So it may get a 10 on measurability, networking. Networking may get a 10 on profitability. A lot of networking groups are low cost, no cost, or even if they're high cost, if you're high ticket and you're getting a lot of sales from them, very profitable. But it might get a low number on scalability because there's only so many hours in a day. So you either need to find a way to scale that isn't taking time out of your day, or just know that it's not very scalable. So it's not like you can double, triple, quadruple down on networking. That's fine. Doesn't mean you stop not working. It just means that that's not where you can just throw more time, money, and effort at it. When you have all of this information, it is so much easier to see each of your marketing tactics as either an asset or an expense. Now, here's the quick win for this week. Before you add any new marketing, anything to your business, I am giving you permission to stop and think through to figure out how measurable, how profitable, and how scalable this is going to be for your business. Because if it's not measurable, it's going to be hard for a data-driven business leader to say yes to it. Like if there's no way to track whether or not this is going to work for your business, why would you spend money on it? You don't know whether to keep adding to that campaign or not. While this audit feels like a lot and it feels uncomfortable, I promise you this comfort is going to be worth the price of the breakthrough. And if you would like help, guidance going through this whole process, I would love to just book a call with you. We can sit down, map out, get you started on this spreadsheet so then you can take it, finish it off, and then come back and let's take a look at it. Let's really dig in and diagnose and see where you have holes. Because holding your breath every time you start a new marketing campaign is not the way to run a business. Hope is not the way to make decisions. Instead, it can be replaced by confidence, knowing that you're working with information that is solid. So let's recap today. First, we learned that marketing becomes only an asset when it's able to generate predictable, measurable returns on your investment. Second, we diagnosed the 3 marketing killers, the link, the plateau, and the phantom. And third, we talked about the transformation framework, measurement, message, and system models. Your marketing transformation can begin right now with a single question. And I want you to ask this question every time you think about any marketing activity that you do from this day forward. Ask, is this making me money or is this costing me money? And when you start looking at every marketing effort through that lens, you can pretty easily figure out what's working and what's not. Next week, we're going to dive deep into the message transformation. We're going to explore the psychology of profitable messaging, why our customers buy on emotions, not features, and how you can tap into those feelings that truly drive their decisions. Until then, keep leading with integrity, serving with heart, and building your own limitless marketing assets. I'm Jennifer Swineford with Limitless Impact Agency.